Hey guys, what's going on? It's KrystalKollectz, and in this video I'll be giving a tutorial on how to properly scratch Mazica Party cards. So in this video I'll be showing you guys 3 different methods, one of them including the official method recommended by Mazica Party using the gear. There are also 2 other methods you can use in case you do not own any of the Mazica Party products, and also very easy to use with, everyday supplies. But of course, this is only a tutorial video. It's going to be a short one. There is no openings in this video, so if you want to see a previous opening of any of the Mazica products on my channel, feel free to check out the link in the description below. So before we get started, please make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for any multi-language Pokemon, Beyblade, or Mazica Party openings. So let's get started. So the first method I'm actually going to use is with the card method. So this can be any cards you have, maybe a credit card, maybe a membership card. I'm personally using my membership from Toys R Us, which no longer exists in New York anymore. But the whole point of using this object is something plastic and also flat edge. So Mazica Party recommend using anything that's flat, nothing pointed. I avoid recommending using any pointed edges because that can damage the card. If you look on screen here, this is what can happen if you use anything pointed, maybe a coin, maybe the corner of a card, and also if you apply a lot of force. If you only have a coin around and that's all you can use, just be sure to use very, very light pressure. So of course, Toys R Us, we're bringing a relic back. But of course, I'm going to bring out a card too that you can also scratch, at least partially. So if you look in the reflection here, there are certain parts that are matte finish. Not everything is scratchable on this card, but I did want to show you guys more of like a transformation card, something a little bit more fun. Of course, here the name is scratchable. Of course, the bottom is also scratchable. Not all cards are like this, but this is one I wanted to show you guys. So whenever you're using a flat edge, especially when it's plastic, I definitely recommend starting at the edge of the matte finish part. So it's going to be either here or over here. So without further ado, and I like to always say this, Mazica. So just again, make sure to use the flat edge and also apply light pressure. Of course, I will not be using the pen in this method, so I'm just going to be strictly using the card. So as you can see, the film or the residue is slowly coming off. So I believe with this card, it changes from blue to red. So one second. So just showing you guys gradual progress. This is slowly coming off. So just show you guys little bit by bit. Alrighty, and also just going to rub off a little bit so you can see more. Oh, that actually also rubbed off. So one thing I've noticed too, whenever it's hot temperature, you can actually rub the residue off a little bit easier. So there's the transformation. Again, no more residue, so you guys can see the difference. It changed from blue to red. So that's the card method. If you wanted to scratch off the rest of it, simply do the same thing. Just make sure to use the edge. Do not use the corner, just the flat edge. And just to show you guys one more demonstration, I'll do this again in case you missed it. I'm going to scratch a second card. This is Tori Dozo. So it's like a bulldozer bull. Again, the matte finish portion of this is going to be on the top left quadrant of the Majin, not the whole circle. So you guys can take a look at that, and I'll do this again. Again, the flat edge, not the corner. So you guys do not risk damaging the card. So I'm going to scratch here, Mazica. And again, the residue is easily coming off. If you want to scratch the whole portion, you can. If you want to try peeling it off yourself, that's also okay too. But as you can see, the green hordes are turning to red, which is really cool. That's why I like scratching these particular cards, because you can see the gradual transformation. So I'll rub this off, and you guys can see a little bit of the difference as well, just in case you're not too sure of the difference between the matte finish and the glossy finish of part of the card. So I'm going to go ahead and finish scratching off the rest of it. So just want to show you guys a portion in case maybe you may not understand how this whole works. I know it's a little bit hard when you don't have it in front of you. Okay, so the rest of it is coming off very easily. I don't even have to apply too much pressure. You don't want to have to force too much, because then at that point you're definitely scratching the card. So these methods are really used to help minimize that. All right, guys, so you can see the shine. Just trying to show you guys the matte finish portion is completely off, and it turned from green to red, which is really cool. So that's Tori Dozo. All right, so now we're done with the card method. The next method I actually want to show you guys, and you have to be a bit careful with this one. So I'm using tape. This is standard packing tape I got from my local post office. So this is another method you can use. It's a little bit give or take sometimes, but when you use the right kind of tape, it definitely works. I highly recommend not using duct tape, since that's very, very strong. And sometimes if you have maybe micro tears on a card, I'm not going to say it's on this one, I don't really see much, but if your card has a little tear on the side, maybe due to bad printing, or maybe damage on the en route to you, if you tape that area, most likely it'll rip off. I did have a friend use the tape method, and the whole part of the card just came off. So be very careful that there's none of that on the card. Make sure it's in good condition before you use this method. But basically, you just put a piece of tape on the matte finish area. For example, it's going to be this area for this tape snail. Actually really fitting Majin for this method. So make sure to be very, very careful when using the tape method. So let me go ahead and get a piece of it. So we're going to hopefully this is a bit sticky enough. I've had used stickier tape in the past, but let's see if this works. If this doesn't work the first time, you can also scratch a little bit off and then pull the tape off. So let's see if this works right away. All right, so So sometimes I'm actually happy this happens. Sometimes it doesn't come off straight away with the tape. In that case, I will use a little bit of card just to scratch off a small part. But again, if your tape is strong enough, sometimes it can take it off entirely on the first try. That has happened in the past. But to make things easier for this video, I'm just going to try again with the tape, but also a little bit of scratching. So let's go ahead and try here. Make sure to put the tape firmly on the card, and then you slowly rip it off. This is actually a little bit satisfying. There you go. So maybe not everything will come off, but at least portions of it. You might have to do this step repeatedly. But yeah, there you go. See, some portions are coming off. Sometimes you can even see the actual residue on the tape, which is really amusing. So I'm going to do this again, and we're going to rip it off in this direction. There we go. See? So that's where the tape method can work. So there's the difference, guys. The tape did extend from this margin. But again, one thing that really helped with this method was scratching a portion off, putting tape on it, and then ripping it off. Because sometimes the residue is a little bit difficult to work with, but in this case, thankfully it complied. All right, so we'll do one more just to show you guys another example. I will scratch it again. I think it's a bit easier doing it that way. So this is Mitsu Bear, also known as the honey bear. And there's a bit of a portion on the top half that's scratchable. So again, I'm just going to scratch a portion of it, and then I'll put tape on it just so you guys can see how this method is really effective. So again, I scratched a small portion of it just so you have like a little tag from the residue. And then I'm going to get another piece of tape. Again, stick it on the part where it's more, where the matte finish is, and then you slowly, oops, put a little bit more force there, and then slowly peel it off. Again, you might have to do this repeatedly, but at least there's a strip coming off, which is great. Oh, even the name came off. That's so cool. I'm going to do this one more time so you guys can get a better picture. So there you go. You can actually see the residue coming off there, here, just so you guys can see the difference. So you can see Mitsu Bear's face is changing. There's still a little bit of residue here, but that's totally fine. I'm going to get another piece of tape to take that off. It's better to use fresh pieces of tape, because sometimes when you've reused a tape a bunch of times, it becomes a bit weaker. So again, be mindful of any micro tears, but if you know your card is good to go, then you should be good there. All right, so the residue is off, and we have Mitsu Bear in attack mode, very angry with its claws portrayed out. And if you guys want to know, if the margin can change, usually the back tells you. So it changes from this form to that form, which is exactly what happened. So I hope you found the tape method useful. That's another way you can use something at home rather than the Mazica gear. But now we're on to our next method, which is of course, the Mazica gear. So if you guys don't own this, I do sell this on my webstore, KrystalKollectz.com. I do sell this through the starter set, but also the individual pen. So if you guys are interested, feel free to check that out. A link will also be in the description. But to use this method, of course, there are two ways you can use the pen. You can either use the flat edge of the plastic, which is harder than the actual tip, which in order to bring that out, you just twist this middle part. This is actually rubber. It's a lot softer compared to the black part, which means you can apply a little bit more pressure, but I do highly recommend using this part first to get the initial portion of the residue off, but be very, very careful, because even just applying like moderate amount of force can damage the card. So again, be careful. I have talked about this before in previous openings, but I'll do it again just to show you guys in case this is your first time watching a Mazica Party opening or video on my channel. So here we go, Mazica full. So I scratched a little bit off just to show you guys more specifically. This portion came off as like a little tag there, a little bit of light reflection, so it's easy for you guys to see. And this is Solar Yanma, forgot to mention, it's the solar dragonfly. So here's the rubber portion, easily taking this off. And basically this transforms to a ray gun. Its tail goes from, not doing much to just firing a big laser, which is really cool. So yeah, this method is very easy to use. Again, using the hard plastic portion of the pen is a lot easier than just using the rubber. If you just use the rubber, which you can do, you might have to apply a little bit more force, which can dent the card. Not very ideal, but as you can see, that easily came off. Again, if you're working with hot temperatures, then it's a lot easier to remove the actual film. So there we go. Solar Yanma in full attack form with the laser shooting out. And again, I'll do one more card. I like to do 2 cards for each method so you guys can really see and grasp the method. So again, showing you guys the reflection. This is Wanisque, the skateboard alligator. And again, here you go. I'm going to retract the pen tip or the Mazica gear tip, and then we're going to scratch this portion. Again, this portion is going to be scratchable. So Mazica full. Again, just to make my life easier taking this off. Again, these methods I've kind of come up with in order to avoid damaging the cards in any way, or to at least minimize the damage. So here we go. A lot easier to take this film off. With the rubber, you can apply a little bit more force, and usually there's not much damage afterwards, which is very nice. So Wanisque's wheel just goes into motion, as you, I don't know, may have not seen from the anime, or may have seen. It's a very active and very energetic Majin, and he likes to roll around. All right, so that film is coming off very easily, which is very nice. Alrighty, so here we have one isekai with the film off. You might see a little bit left there, but the whole point was just to show you guys that the pen method is quite easy. Honestly, in my opinion, in terms of what is the easiest method, I definitely recommend using the pen, especially, you know, once you get the hang of it. Bit of a learning curve, but I only say that because that's the tape method, you do risk ripping the card, especially if there's any tears, like I mentioned before. And the other card method, the first method that I showed you, it's a bit, you can damage the card still if you don't use it properly, because the material is very similar to the hard plastic of the pen. So even if you apply a little bit too much force, you can scratch the card. But I hope you found this useful. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more Mazica Party, multi-language Pokemon, and Beyblade content. Stay safe, everyone. We'll see you in the next video.